you have TikTok and you like basketball, you probably know Chilltown Hoops.
Children of all ages, act like you know.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. One of the main reasons why teams falter throughout the course of the year is because their calling card isn't sustainable. For example, if you got a long ball shooting team, right? You got a long ball shooting team, eventually you're gonna hit a slump. You're gonna hit a rough patch where you're not able to sustain that. And if you don't do anything else, you're gonna fall. If you're a great transition team, well, better defensive teams are gonna slow you down. Well, what else do you do? Like stuff like that doesn't travel if you only do that. There is one thing that does travel, however, and that's defense. And the Golden State Warriors, watching them play defense is pretty incredible. They're on pace to have the best defense in league history. And I know that sounds crazy. I'm going to say that one more time for the people in the cheap seats. They're on pace to have the best defense in NBA history. Now, remember, this is the same league that had the bad boy Pistons in 88, 89. They had the Pistons in 2004, had the Houston Rockets in 94. If you think about when the Golden State Warriors have won the NBA championship, in 15, they had the best defense in the league. In 16, they had the second best defense in the league when they went to the NBA championship. They didn't win it, but when they went to the NBA championship in 16, they had the second best defense in the league. In 17, they were right outside the top 10 in the league in defense. In 22, they had the best defense in the league. Their calling card is their defense, and that travels. So when the long ball isn't working, we can still hang our hat on the fact that we defend. And how do they take advantage? How do they defend? They take advantage of their athletes. They take advantage of Andrew Wiggins' athleticism. They take advantage of Jonathan Kuminga's athleticism. They take advantage of Gary Payton, his hustle. Draymond is still smart enough, and even though he may be a little older, and I still think that Draymond's in his prime, but he's a little older, he's still smart enough to shoot gaps. He still knows how to cut off angles. Defensively, this team is fantastic. And last night against the Boston Celtics, that was one of the better defensive performances that I've seen. They did a great job in blitzing Jason Tatum whenever he had the basketball, pushing him further away from the basket, closer toward the half-court line, which would explain why he was turning the ball over, because it was almost like he was surprised to see that. They did a good job in blitzing not just Jason Tatum, but also Peyton Pritchard. They did a great job in covering screens and closing out and getting on the glass. They also did a great job, both Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins. I thought they did a really good job in Jason Tatum and picking him up three-quarter court and in the half court, just to make it difficult on him. He got going in the third quarter, no doubt about that, but they did a great job on guys like Drew Holiday. They did a great job on guys like Derek White later on. Derek White got going early, but then they slowed that down, shooting gaps, closing out on shooters like him. And their calling card, which is their defense, I mean, if they could keep this up, they're going to be dangerous. Now, I'm one who was in the minority. I didn't have the Golden State Warriors making the playoffs because I looked at the Western Conference as a nightmare. And I think it's going to take 50 wins in order to get into the playoffs this season. And I felt like with what Golden State had, not just offensively, dependent on Steph Curry, who's going to be 37 when the playoff starts, the fact that he's long in the tooth, and Buddy Hield being the rotation player that he is, I didn't expect him to be this good. I thought that they would be reliant more on Steph Curry and less on their defense. When in reality, it's actually it's the opposite, where they've been more reliant on their defense to create a lot of their offense. And I think that's great for Golden State. I think that's fantastic for them. Is this sustainable? Well, defense travels. Your defense travels. If you can defend in your building, you should be able to defend anywhere. And the Golden State Warriors proved last night that they could defend anywhere. What they also did that I thought was really good was I thought that they did a great job in mismatch hunting. I do not want Kata covering Steph Curry, but considering that the Boston Celtics are a very switch-heavy team, and the reason why they're a very switch-heavy team is because they have a lot of interchangeable players. And they got a lot of guys who can guard multiple positions. Derek White can guard 1 through 3, sometimes even the 4, depending on the lineups. Drew Holiday has shown that he can guard 1 through 3, maybe even bigger guys, considering the lineups, which would explain why they do a lot of switching. Well, Golden State Warriors took advantage of that last night, where they ended up getting Kata switched on to Steph Curry. If you're a coach, you do not want Kata switched on to Curry because Curry's going to take advantage of that mismatch all day, every day. And more times than not, he's going to win that matchup, which he did last night. And Curry got started slow early, but ultimately he got busy. He 100% got busy. And I really like what I saw from guys like Andrew Wiggins. I really like what I saw from Gary Payton. I really liked what I saw from Gary Payton, just as a disruptor, right? And an irritant, in addition to him being able to make shots around the rim and get cleanup buckets. That was huge for the Golden State Warriors last night. So I may have to come off my stance of them making the playoffs. I might have to do that, but it's early. I'd like to have this conversation with you guys again in January because I know that the defense is sustainable. Is this sustainable in terms of what else they do? I mean, Buddy Hield coming off the bench. If the season ended today, I think that he wins the sixth man of the year, and I think he wins it going away. I don't think that there's anybody in terms of a rotation player that's been playing better than him, that's had more of an impact than him. And that includes Malik Monk. That includes Naz Reid. That includes Peyton Pritchard, who I think is the best backup lead guard in the game. But watching Buddy Hield and the impact that he's had on this Golden State Warrior team, where he will shoot open shots. Not only will he shoot open shots, but he'll shoot contested shots too. I didn't realize how consistent of a long ball shooter he could be when he's around the right people. Watching him on this Golden State team, he just looks like he belongs on this crew. There's certain teams where it just fits, and there's certain teams where you got to make it fit. That's not the case with Buddy Hield. Him coming off screens, he's asking for the basketball. Not only is he asking for the basketball, he's a lot more confident. I like what I'm seeing from this Golden State team. I am. And again, I know it's early, and I'm going to have this conversation with you guys again in about another month, in about another 2 months when I get a better idea of who Golden State is. But as of right now, I like what I'm seeing from this Golden State Warrior team. I may have to come off that stance. Speaking of coming off of something, I got to come off the stance of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I did not think that they would be this good. Any of you guys who know me know that I thought that the Cavs would be good. I might have to come off that stance and elevate that. I didn't think that they would be this good. I mean, they're undefeated. They had one. I thought they were going to have one of the better defenses in the game, but this good? Wow, I did not think that they would be this good. And that's largely due to the emergence of both Evan Mobley and Donovan and Darius Garland. I think it's largely due to that. Last night with them playing against New Orleans, Evan Mobley got a lot of his stuff around the rim. That's largely due to them taking advantage or lack of New Orleans size. So he didn't shoot any long balls last night. He didn't shoot in the mid-range because New Orleans is small around the rim. So they took advantage of that. Both him and Jared Allen took advantage of that. I really like that. I really appreciate Darius Garland in how much more confident he is. And that confidence comes from not just management, but that confidence also comes from the other guys on the crew. You'd be surprised when you got a guy lifting you up on the crew. If you're already confident, how much more confident you can be. Now, remember who Darius Garland was years ago. So in year 3, Darius Garland is making the All-Star team. In the process of him making an All-Star team, Cleveland is convinced this is our lead guard of the future. So they sign him to a max deal. But immediately after they sign him to a max deal, they bring in Donovan Mitchell, who's a better player. So now he's confused. Well, wait a minute. You know, you're giving me the ball, but then you're taking the ball out of my hands. Am I the guy? Am I the guy in the backcourt? Am I not the guy in the backcourt? So there was some confusion there. With the confusion being there were a lot of people who weren't sure about Darius Garland. Maybe he's not the guy. Maybe we made a mistake signing him. When in reality, yes, he is your lead guard. He just has to get acclimated with playing with a guy like Donovan Mitchell. In addition to playing with a guy like Donovan Mitchell, he had to get more acclimated to being in a specific role, because one minute I'm the man, and then the next minute I'm not. Meanwhile, Donovan Mitchell is telling him, yo, play your game. Be you. Don't be afraid to be you. Be you. And he did that. And because he did that, Cleveland has just been so much better. They're one of the best transition teams. I think they're the best transition team in the league. They get to the rim with the best of them. They get downhill, and he's one of those guys who gets downhill with the best of them. I don't like the fact that they don't get to the stripe as much, and that may be an officiating issue, but that's I think that's a different conversation for a different day. But I like the fact that they get to the rim. I like the fact that they defend. I like their calling cards. I'm on record saying that I would not be surprised if I saw the Cavs in the East Finals. That would not surprise me at all, and that's largely due to how much they've advanced. And don't get me wrong, when you're playing in when you're playing in the NBA, not mismatches. I apologize. Matchups mean everything. So if you're playing in the NBA and you get a favorable matchup, which is what happened to Dallas last year, you can make a deep run. You can 100% make a deep run. So because of that, I think that the Cavs, I think that they're going to be a lot of trouble in the East, and I would not be surprised to see them in the East Finals. That wouldn't surprise me one bit with this crew. I really like what they're doing defensively. I think Donovan Mitchell is the best two guard in the game. I think Evan Mobley is going to be the defensive player of the year. And the reason why I think he's going to be the defensive player of the year is because history has shown me that you being on a great defensive team, you are in the conversation. And when I think about the better defensive players in the game, when I think about Anthony Davis, the Lakers are at the bottom of the league in defense. They're not very good. When I think about Wemby, in the first half of games with San Antonio, I think they're in the top 3, in the top 5 in the league in defense. But then that goes the other way. That's not the case with Cleveland. And then I'm hearing the idea that Chet has jumped Evan Mobley. This is the same thing you guys did with me, the exact same thing you guys did with me with SGA and Jason Tatum, and it still doesn't make sense. I'm still having a difficult time understanding how a guy who there wasn't a conversation 2 years ago, and then now this guy is getting better, how this guy just immediately jumps that other guy. I still have not gotten a satisfactory answer for that, and I'm still waiting on one. Still waiting on one. I love what I'm seeing from this Cleveland team right now. I think that they got Milwaukee on Sunday. And they got the Warriors on Friday, they got Milwaukee on Sunday, and they got the Celtics on the 19th. If they could get past the Warriors, if they could get past the Warriors on Friday, and then 2 weeks from now, when they got the Celtics in town, I mean when the Celtics are in when they're in Boston to play the Celtics, we could be looking at a 15 or 20-0 start from this Cavs team. We could very well be looking at that. And I know that sounds ridiculous because, again, I did not have this Cleveland Cavs team being this good. I didn't. I'll be lying to you guys if I said I did, because I didn't. I did not have them this good. I had them as a good team. I had them as a top 3 seed in the East. I thought they were going to be one of the better defensive teams in the game. I was prepared for Evan Mobley to take that step, which he has, which he 100% has. He's looking at the basket more. He's getting downhill more, which I really like about him. In addition to him getting downhill, he's still one of the better defenders in the game. Their rotation has been fantastic. I've always been a big Karis LeVert fan, but I wasn't aware of Ty Jerome and his effect and his impact on his crew, which has been great. So guys like Karis LeVert, Ty Jerome, Dean Wade, I love everything that I'm seeing with this crew. Everything that I'm seeing with this crew. So I think if they could continue doing what they're doing, I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous. They still got to get past a lot of other teams for them to get to 20-0, like I think. But I like what I'm seeing from Cleveland. I do. I like what I'm seeing from Cleveland. I may be wrong on the Golden State Warriors. I'm not sure. I'm going to have this conversation with you guys again in another 2 months when the long ball starts to slow down. I'm gonna see if that defense is still there. I'm gonna see if they could still do that, and I'll keep you informed. I'm always one of those guys who's, if I was wrong, I'll give it up. But I'll definitely keep you informed. But this has been great. It's basketball season, guys. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's basketball season. You know where to find me at. You know where I will be, and I will be right here. But until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. When last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. It was good to see you guys. I will talk to you guys soon. But until then, take it light. But take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys.
It's going down. It's going down. It's going down.